Բարև ձեզ հարգելի բարեկամներ, Սփյուռքի ձայնը հեռուստահանդեսը դարձյալ ձեզ հետ է։ Անցյալ շաբաթ Երևանում տեղի ունեցավ Wcit համաշխարհային կոնգրեսը, որին մասնակցելու համար Հայաստան էին ժամանել շուրջ 2500 մասնակիցներ 70 երկրներից։ Բացման արարողությունը ազդարարվեց ճոխ համերգով Հանրապետության հրապարակում, որտեղ ավելի քան 100 երաժիշտներից կազմված մագախումբը կատարեց ռոբոտի արհեստական բանականության ստեղծած երաժշտությունը։ Համաժողովի առաջին օրը ողջունի խոսքով հանդես եկավ Հայաստանի Հանրապետության վարչապետ Նիկոլ Փաշինյանը։
Dear friends, it is a real pleasure and honor to be in this stage and welcome all you to Armenia. This was a big dream to bring this conference to Armenia, and especially Karen Vartanyan, CEO of UAT, had this dream for more than 10 years. And in 2014, we had a chance with the delegation from UAT, heading Haik Chobanyan, to present the bid to have the conference in Armenia. It was 5 years ago, and we win this bid by showing, presenting the power of decentralization theme to the committee of Wcit. So Armenia is now uniquely positioned, I think, today to become the center for these next 3 days, as well to become the center in the region as IT is developing in our country. So I am very happy to see all our guests coming from all different places, and we are very happy to have this conference in Armenia. Thank you very much and welcome to Armenia. Let's have a great conference. Thanks.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please be introduced to our next esteemed speaker, Nikol Pashinyan.
Շնորհակալ եմ։ Տեղեկատվական տեխնոլոգիաների 23-րդ համաշխարհային կոնգրեսի հարգելի մասնակիցներ, հարգելի հյուրեր։ Ողջունում եմ ձեզ Հայաստանի Հանրապետության մայրաքաղաք Երևանում համաշխարհային նշանակության այս հավաքի բացման առիթով։ Մեզ համար մեծ պատիվ է եւ հաճույք այսպիսի համաժողով հյուրընկալելը, որովհետեւ այն շատ լավ առիթ է ձեզ եւ ձեր միջոցով միջազգային հանրության հետ խոսելու, Հայաստանը բարձր տեխնոլոգիական, արդյունաբերական երկիր դարձնելու մեր ռազմավարության մասին եւ ես հույս ունեմ մեր երկրում անցկացրած մի քանի օրերի ընթացքում դուք կզգաք այն նոր էներգիան եւ մթնոլորտը, որ մեր երկրին համակել է նախորդ տարի Հայաստանում տեղի ունեցած ոչ բռնի թավշյա ժողովրդական հեղափոխությունից հետո։ Տպավորիչ աճ է գրանցում տեխնոլոգիական ապրանքների արտահանումը։ Առաջին 7 ամսվա կտրվածքով միջին տեխնոլոգիատար ապրանքների արտահանումը մեր երկրից աճել է 40.9%-ով, իսկ բարձր տեխնոլոգիատար ապրանքների արտահանումը 34.4%-ով։ Այս ամենը մեզ վստահություն է տալիս, որ Հայաստանում տեղի ունեցող տնտեսական հեղափոխությունը իր հերթին կհանգեցնի տեխնոլոգիական հեղափոխության, եւ մենք կկարողանանք Հայաստանը դարձնել տեխնոլոգիական, նորարարական առաջատար երկրներից մեկը աշխարհում, իսկական տեխնոլոգիական կենտրոն։ Այս նպատակը մեզ հասանելի եւ իրատեսական է թվում նաեւ այն պատճառով, որ հայ ժողովրդի բազմաթիվ զավակներ տեխնոլոգիական հանրահայտ նորարարությունների հեղինակներ են։ 1853 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Հովհաննես Ղուկասյանը ստեղծեց կերոսինային լամպը, այսպիսով նոր ուժ հաղորդելով տեխնոլոգիական լուսավորության դարաշրջանին, հեղափոխություն իրականացնելով մարդկանց առօրյա կյանքում։ 1854 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Քրիստափոր Տեր-Սերոփյանը ստեղծեց ԱՄՆ դոլարի կանաչ գույնը, եւ այդ կանաչը մինչև հիմա համարվում է դոլարի բացառիկ գույն։ 1911 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Գաբրիել Կազանչյանը ստեղծեց մազեր չորացնող սարքավորումը, բոլորիս հայտնի ֆենը։ 1916 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Ստեփան Ստեփանյանը ստեղծեց մեխանիկական բետոնախառնիչը, որը ժամանակակից աշխարհում նույնքան տարածված է, որքան ֆենը։ 1930-ականներին մեր հայրենակից Հովհաննես Ադամյանը ձևակերպեց եւ ստեղծեց այն ալգորիթմը, տեխնոլոգիան, որը հնարավոր դարձրեց գունավոր հեռուստացույցների ստեղծումը։ 1931 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Ասատուր Սաֆարյանը ստեղծեց ավտոմեքենաների ավտոմատ փոխանցման տուփը, նոր հեռանկարներ բացելով ավտոմոբիլաշինության հետագա զարգացման համար։ 1939 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Լյութեր Գևորգ Սիմիջյանը ստեղծեց բոլորիս հայտնի բանկոմատը։ Բայց սա դեռ վերջը չէ, իզուր եք շտապում։ 1960-ականներին մեր հայրենակից Միքայել Տեր-Պողոսյանը դարձավ տոմոգրաֆիայի հիմնադիրներից մեկը, որը հեղափոխական նշանակության նորարարություններ առողջապահության ոլորտում։ 1970-ականներին մեր հայրենակից Ռայմոն Տամատյանը ստեղծեց մագնիսական ռեզոնանսային սկանավորման սարքը, որը մի նոր հեղափոխություն դարձավ առողջապահության ոլորտում։ Այս երկու հայտնագործությունները միլիոնավոր, 100 միլիոնավոր կյանքեր են փրկել ամբողջ աշխարհում, բարելավել են 100 միլիոնավոր մարդկանց կյանքի որակը։ 1995 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Էմիկ Ավակյանը ստեղծեց հաշմանդամություն ունեցող անձանց համար նախատեսված ինքնագնաց սայլակը, փոխելով հաշմանդամություն ունեցող միլիոնավոր մարդկանց կյանքը։ 2006 թվականին մեր հայրենակից Յուրի Օգանիսյանը հայտնաբերեց Մենդելեևի պարբերական աղյուսակի 118-րդ քիմիական տարը, որը հենց գիտնականի պատվին կոչվում է օգանեսոն։ Այս թվարկումը դեռ երկար կարելի է շարունակել, հիշատակելով աշխարհահռչակ MiG ինքնաթիռների հեղինակ Արտյոմ Միկոյանին, ամերիկյան բանակում օգտագործվող հակագազերի հեղինակ Արթուր Բլբուլյանին, պլաստիկ վիրաբուժության համահիմնադիրներից մեկին Վարազդատ Կազանջյանին, ժամանակակից միալծակ ծորակի հեղինակ Ալեքս Մանուկյանին։ Այս ամենը եւ այն փաստը, որ խորհրդային առաջին համակարգիչը Նաիրի անունով ստեղծվել է Հայաստանում, այն փաստը, որ մեր բազմաթիվ հայրենակիցներ գործուն մասնակցություն են ունեցել խորհրդային եւ ամերիկյան տիեզերական ծրագրերում, այն փաստը, որ այսօր էլ համաշխարհային տեխնոլոգիական նորարարության ոլորտում մեր շատ հայրենակիցներ լրջագույն հաջողություններ են գրանցում, մեզ վստահություն է տալիս, որ Հայաստանը իսկապես դառնալու է տեխնոլոգիական ոլորտի կարևոր կետերից մեկը աշխարհում, կարևոր կենտրոններից մեկը աշխարհում։ Այս նպատակով մենք ընդարձակ հարկային արտոնություններ ենք նախատեսել Հայաստանում նոր ստեղծվող տեխնոլոգիական ընկերությունների համար, որոնք մինչև 2023 թվականը ազատված են շահութահարկից եւ վճարում են ընդամենը 10% եկամտային հարկ։ Որպես արդյունք մեր երկրում տեղեկատվական տեխնոլոգիաների ոլորտը վերջին 7 տարում աճել է շուրջ 5 անգամ եւ ամեն տարի կայուն 20-25%-անոց աճ է գրանցում։ Մենք խնդիր ենք դրել լրջորեն զարգացնել կրթությունը, սկսած նախակրթարաններից մինչև մագիստրատուրա եւ ասպիրանտուրա, եւ ասում ենք, որ մեր երկրում կրթությունը պետք է դառնա ազգային ապրելակերպ։ Այն տրամաբանությամբ, որ մեր երկրում մարդը երբեք ու երբեք չպետք է դադարի սովորել եւ մեր բոլորի սկսած վարչապետից ավարտած համակարգչային օպերատորով կրթական ցենզը, պրոֆեսիոնալ մակարդակը ամեն հաջորդ օր պետք է ավելի բարձր լինի, քան նախորդ օրը։ Տեղեկատվական տեխնոլոգիաների համաշխարհային 23-րդ կոնգրեսի սիրելի մասնակիցներ, մենք հավատում ենք, որ Հայաստանը կարող ենք դարձնել դրախտ տաղանդավոր մարդկանց համար։ Ինչպես երկար տարիներ աշխարհի տարբեր երկրներ, Ֆրանսիան, Ռուսաստանը, Ամերիկայի Միացյալ Նահանգները, Սինգապուրը, Մեծ Բրիտանիան, Հնդկաստանը, Իրանը, բազմաթիվ այլ երկրներ սեփական տաղանդը զարգացնելու եւ դրսեւորելու, կրթություն ստանալու եւ հայտնագործություններ անելու հնարավորություն են տվել հայոց ցեղասպանությունից մազապուրց մեզ բազմաթիվ հայրենակիցների, որոնց մի մասին ես հիշատակեցի որպես համաշխարհային նշանակության նոր արարությունների հեղինակների, այնպես էլ հիմա ազատ եւ զարգացող ինքնիշխան Հայաստանի Հանրապետությունը դառնում է ավելի ու ավելի գրավիչ երկիր տեխնոլոգիական, կրթական, նորարարական ներդրումների գործունեության եւ կրթության համար։ Մենք ընդամենը ամիսներ առաջ ստեղծել ենք նոր բարձր տեխնոլոգիական արդյունաբերության նախարարություն, որպեսզի ոլորտով հետաքրքրված բոլոր մասնագետները, սկսնակները, ներդրողներն ու գործընկերները իմանան, նրանց համար կոնկրետ լինի, թե Հայաստանում որն է իրենց հասցեն։ Բարձր տեխնոլոգիական արդյունաբերության նախարար Արշակյանը այս համաժողովը Հայաստանում անցկացնելու ամենամեծ ջատագովներից մեկն էր, եւ ես հույս ունեմ, որ այս հիրավի հիշարժան իրադարձությունը շատ բան կփոխի տեխնոլոգիական աշխարհի եւ Հայաստանի Հանրապետության հարաբերություններում։ Եվ մեզ բոլորիս, սիրելի ներկաներ, հաջողություններ եմ մաղթում բարձր տեխնոլոգիաների միջոցով աշխարհը ավելի մարդասեր, ավելի աստվածավախ, ավելի քաղաքակիրթ ու հանդուրժող դարձնելու գործում։
I'd now like to introduce to the stage the chairman of the World Information Technology Service Alliance, the one and only, who thinks that soft power is changing the world, the one and only Ms. Yvonne Chu.
Good morning. Good morning. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Wcit, the World Information Technology Service Alliance, it's my honor to welcome you to the 23rd World Congress, Wcit 2019. Yeah! For those of you who may not be familiar with Wcit, Wcit is a consortium of leading ICT association presented 90% of the information and communication technology industry with over 83 countries. In Armenia, Wcit members Wcit, the Union of Advanced Technology Enterprise. I would like to thank Republic of Armenia government for the fully support. Thank you. As you know, information and communication technology is impact nearly every aspect of the human life. Key sectors such as communication, education, manufacture, healthcare, transportation, environment, and being transformed by the incredible innovation brought by ICT. There is such more to come. In order to continue to realize the benefit of ICT, the number of the factors need to be in place. In particular, regulatory public-private partnership and reliable and affordable infrastructure must be available for everyone. A principal approach to privacy, security, and data protection must exist to instill trust and confidence in fundamental building block of the digital age. Free flow of the data and talent across, both as well as skilled domestic workforce required. Once again, on behalf of the Wcit, I wish you good health, prosperity, and I sincerely hope everybody enjoy this Congress. And thank you for coming. I know it's going to be a best Congress ever.
Thank you, Yvonne. That was amazing. I'd now like to introduce to you Dr. James Poisant. He is the Secretary General of the World Information Technology and Services Alliance, Wcit, and is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Global Alliance. The Alliance consists of more than 80 leading ICT associations from around the world and represents 90% of the ICT industry worldwide. A round of applause, please, for Dr. James Poisant.
Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to mention that last evening had to be the most spectacular opening in our 41 years history. Thank you so much. On behalf of the World Information Technology and Services Alliance, the Union of Advanced Technology Enterprises, and the Government of the Republic of Armenia, I hereby proclaim the 23rd World Congress on Information and Communications Technology officially open. Well, good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, members of the international media. I want to add my welcome to this 23rd World Congress gathered here today. So we are gathered in beautiful Yerevan for the next 3 days to discuss the impact, challenges, and opportunities of fulfilling the promise of the digital age, which is the overall theme of this Congress and the mission of Wcit. The promise of the digital age can only be realized when everyone on Earth is benefiting from information and communications technology. This year, we will pay particular attention to the sub-theme of the event, as you know, called the power of decentralization. The internet is a great equalizer. It allows anyone, anywhere, the opportunity to benefit and contribute to the digital age. Yet there are perils as well as promises associated with this wonderful period in our history. The delegates to this Congress are made up of large as well as small and medium-sized ICT providers, senior government officials, national and multinational users of ICT, globally recognized institutions, academics, students, entrepreneurs, healthcare providers, and media from around the world, as well as other stakeholders who are playing a key role and have interest in the expansion of ICT around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, this Congress has been designed to include many of the components that make up the digital age. All of these elements play a key role in the unfolding evolution of this marvelous period. We will examine discuss and review these components in the context of gaining a comprehensive understanding of how we can expand the usages and benefits of ICTs. And in so doing, we will be collecting key recommendations from each session to build on as we move into the future. And while we're speaking of the future, I'd like to mention that the event has been awarded in 2020 to Penang, Malaysia, and in 21 to Dhaka, Bangladesh. Congratulations. It is our sincere hope that through this important event, all of us, through our individual and collective efforts, contribute to the expanded global use of ICT for everyone. And on behalf of Wcit, I wish to once again especially thank the delegates, UATE, the outstanding project staff, your president, Mr. Prime Minister, Minister of High Technology, High-Tech Industry, the City of Yerevan, and the Wcit 219 sponsors for their generosity and support. And last but not least, the wonderful people of the country of Armenia. May this Congress have a long-term beneficial effect on your country and improve the quality of life for all of your citizens. I sincerely hope you enjoy the conference. Once again, thank you so much for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our first keynote speaker, Richard Clarke, an internationally known national security expert and author who has served in the White House for 3 US presidents as America's first cyber czar and its first counter-terrorism czar. He was the National Crisis Manager on a certain date, September the 11th, 2001, and is now a sought-after consultant on corporate security risk and cyber security. His 9 books include the 2011 bestseller Cyber War and his latest book, The Fifth Domain, Defending Our Country, Our Corporations and Ourselves in the Age of Cyber Threats, is out now. Please welcome to the stage Richard Clarke.
The future is now. The future is now, it's just not evenly distributed. Those were the words of William Gibson, the author, the cyberpunk author, who gave us decades ago the great cyberpunk novel Neuromancer. How many of you have read Neuromancer? You can't be cyberpunk unless you've read it. Gibson's cyber future didn't come all at once. Gibson invented the word cyberspace, but he told us the future doesn't come all at once. The cyberspace future is not evenly distributed. He was right. For 30 years ago, Gibson's cyber future began. Cyberspace arguably began 30 years ago. But many of us, including people like me who were in the White House at the time, thought that the era that was beginning 30 years ago, that era was something called the post-communist era. That era was something called the post-Cold War era. That's where we were focused. We were focused on the past. But then slowly, even people in the White House noticed that the world was changing. There was a new revolution, not a communist revolution, but an IT revolution. It was as big and as profound as the Industrial Revolution 100 years before. But when the Industrial Revolution occurred, you could see it all around you. People left their villages and their farms and came into cities to work in factories. Factories that put up towers that belched smoke and clogged the air. You knew there was a revolution going on. But when the IT revolution began, when cyberspace was created 30 years ago, it was not as obvious. As Gibson said, it was not evenly distributed. So in the White House, we saw this thing happening. We saw the great potential it had for the economy. But President Clinton also saw the dark underbelly of cyberspace, the potential that it could do harm as well as good. And so the president asked me to go out around the country and to speak to leaders of corporations, to speak to CEOs. I went to Redmond, Washington, to speak with Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, and to Silicon Valley to speak with Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. And I thought they could tell me what the cyber future would look like. They couldn't. They didn't know what they had created. They didn't know what was going to happen. Instead, it was the CEO of a railroad company. Not of a new company just created, but of a company 125 years old. The CEO of an ancient railroad company told me what was happening. He said, "We are no longer a railroad company. We are now an IT company with trains." That is the profound understanding that CEOs around the world are slowly coming to realize. Whatever you make, whatever you manufacture, whatever you do, you are not a car company. You are not an airplane company. You are not a steel company. You're an IT company that makes cars. Cars empowered by IT. You are an aircraft manufacturer that makes airplanes that only work with IT. If that wasn't clear to CEOs before, it became very clear 2 years ago, in 2017, when Russian military attacked Ukraine with a cyber attack, a very clever cyber attack. What they did was to hack their way into an auditing and accounting firm that every company in Ukraine used. It was called MEDoc. And they put in the software update, the monthly software update from MEDoc, a worm that would eat software. And so when that monthly update came, it was digitally signed, and it went right through the firewalls of all the companies that subscribed to MEDoc. And as soon as it was through the firewalls, it began to eat software. And within minutes, servers, routers, smartphones were bricks. They had no software on them. They were useless. They sat there blinking and doing nothing else. And that attack spread. There was collateral damage. The attack spread beyond the intended target of Ukraine. The attack spread out over virtual private networks, over corporate VPNs around the world, throughout Europe, throughout the United States, and even back into Russia. And companies doing a huge variety of things suddenly were frozen in place. At 75 major seaports around the world, the giant cranes that lift up containers and move them from ships to trains, stopped in midair at 75 ports around the world because that worm had attacked the software of the largest shipping company in the world. And for 3 weeks, nothing moved in those ports. No one knew what was in the containers. No one knew where the containers were supposed to go. And none of the machines worked because they had no software. In the United States, a major drug manufacturer producing cancer drugs had its production line halt. The chemicals being mixed stopped. The manufacture of pills stopped. The conveyor belts froze because the machinery had no software. Throughout the world, over $1 billion worth of damage was done on one day by one cyber attack. But what that attack proved to CEOs all over the world was they were not CEOs of ship companies. They were not CEOs of pharmaceutical companies. They were CEOs of IT companies that made pharmacies, that made pharmaceuticals. They were CEOs of companies that were IT companies that had ships. We are all employed in IT companies, no matter what we do, whether we are in hospitals, in universities, or in manufacturing. We work in IT companies that do something else. We are all IT employees. We are all IT citizens. We are digital citizens. And because we are digital citizens, we are empowered in ways that we never were before. Individuals with cameras on their phones, with Twitter accounts, with blogs and podcasts, individuals can now be as important as reporters from major newspapers. Their individual reporting can shape the world. It can expose corruption. It can expose brutality. It can expose people abusing human rights. And workers in every industry can now work at home, can work wherever they want around the world because they can be connected to the internet. And companies can start up quickly and market globally. Countries like Armenia, countries that train people in how to code, can become economic powerhouses by tying into the knowledge economy. The barriers to entry of our new digital world are great. They require training, they require education, they require people learning how to code. But those barriers are far less than they used to be. So the first phase of our cyber world future has arrived, and we can see it. It is a cyber future with new products, with new companies, with new capabilities. But it's also a new future with hacking and with digital inequality, because so many parts of the world are being left behind because, unlike Armenia, they are not training the youth in coding and in IT technology. But that first phase is coming to a close, and we are entering a second phase of our cyber future. It's a second phase driven by 3 new technologies. The first of which is machine learning and artificial intelligence. the second of which is quantum computing, and the third is 5G and the Internet of Things. They all offer great opportunities and great risks. Let's start with artificial intelligence, or as it's better called, machine learning. Machine learning is already operating. It's already here. It's part of the future that's unevenly distributed. Machine learning affects you every day, whether or not you can see it happening. Machine learning is uncovering facts that we didn't know existed. Machine learning is uncovering patterns in vast data lakes filled with information that we had but couldn't harvest. But machine learning is also incorporating human biases. It's also making decisions in ways that we cannot audit, that we cannot determine how or why those decisions were made. Were they made as a result of mistakes that the authors of the AI program made? We need to be able, if machine learning is going to expand its control of our economy and our lives, we need to be able to audit machine learning, to know how and why decisions were made, and to ensure that unconscious bias was not introduced into the coding. We don't want machine learning to perpetuate racism, sexism, and other things that hold us back as a human community. We need, with machine learning, as well as with quantum computing and 5G and the Internet of Things, to introduce into our process of technology ethics and moral standards. We need to have international norms so that as we go into this second phase of cyberspace, we are in control of it, and it is not in control of us. Quantum computing, working with machine learning, will shape our future. Konstantin Karagiannis has said of quantum computing that it will have a greater effect on technology around the world than the transistor had in the 1950s and 60s. And quantum computing, until earlier this year, many people thought was some fictional future. Like cold fusion, they said quantum computing would always be 20 years off. But just this month, Google has announced, although it has since withdrawn it, but it will announce again, that a Google quantum computer has achieved quantum superiority for the first time. It is no longer a myth. It is no longer some future possibility. There is a working quantum computer today that is solving problems. Now, what is digital superiority? It has nothing to do with war or defense or national superiority. Digital superiority through quantum computing means a quantum computer has, this year, for the first time, worked and solved a problem that no conventional computer, no supercomputer could ever have solved. The Google quantum computer solved in 3.5 minutes an equation that would have taken a supercomputer 10,000 years to solve. Now, just as with machine learning, yes, But just as with machine learning, which discovers truths that we didn't know existed in our data lakes, but could be perpetuating biases, quantum computing could also open up new worlds for us. It could create new drugs. It could create new metals and metallurgical processes. It could make our life immensely better in the relatively near future. But misused, quantum computing could also break encryption. And all of us, every day, rely on encryption to secure our communications, to secure our bank accounts, to secure the work that we do in our companies and our governments. Now, the good news is that there are people already at work creating quantum-resistant encryption technologies. And of the 50 machine learning algorithms that have already been written for quantum computing, 50 algorithms have already been written for machine learning of quantum computing. 46 of them have nothing to do with encryption. They're about solving other problems. The third of these new technologies bursting on the scene this year that are bringing us into the second stage of our cyber future is the combination of 5G technology with the Internet of Things. The international standard for 5G technology is that it should be able to allow 1 million devices to communicate simultaneously at high speed in 1 square kilometer. 1 million devices at high speed in 1 square kilometer. And that is being achieved. It's being achieved in cities around the world. It began to be deployed widely this year. And what it is enabling is the future that we've all read about for years. For years, we have read about self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles. But they would never work because they were not smart enough, they couldn't communicate with each other, they couldn't communicate fast enough. 5G will make that possible. 5G will connect billions of devices to cyberspace. More devices will be connected within the next 3 years to cyberspace than there are people on the planet. Think about that. But 5G and the Internet of Things also brings with it a risk. For we are connecting directly to cyberspace, directly to the Internet, devices that are unprotected. Hospitals are connecting machines like IV drip machines, heart-lung machines, machines that are keeping people alive, connecting them to networks, and they are not protected. We have already seen what can happen when ransomware hits a hospital. Hospitals stop working. They no longer accept patients in the emergency rooms. They cancel surgery. They send patients home because their devices are not protected, and their devices and their network are essential to their operations. What we've seen with ransomware hitting hospitals around the world is just the tip of the iceberg of what can happen as the 5G IoT revolution plays out, creating more attack surfaces, creating more opportunities for people to take over devices. We have already seen one Chinese camera system deployed around the world as part of the Internet of Things that was hacked and became a launching platform for the largest digital denial of service attack the world has ever seen. So 5G and the IoT can do great things, but they can also create great disruption. These three technologies, machine learning, quantum computing, 5G, and the Internet of Things, do not stand alone, but they stand in combination. And think about what they can do together to create a new world in this second phase of our cyberspace revolution. It's the combinatory effect of the technologies working together. And not just working with those three technologies, but think of the new technologies that are being empowered by IT today. The genetics revolution, the great expansion in robotics, those things could not have happened without the advances in IT. And while we here are more IT experts than experts on genetics or experts on robotics, we need to know what's happening in those fields too. Because IT combining with them is going to change the world in the lives of most people alive today. The great change that has occurred in the last 30 years will look like nothing compared to the revolution of the next 30 years, when all of these technologies come together. And they will come together, we hope, to create a better world. A world where diseases are conquered, where genetic defects are eliminated. A world where information flows freely. A world of greater equality and greater equality of opportunity. Putting all these technologies together will allow us not just to explore our genetics, but to explore outer space. Sending robots powered by machine learning to the planets and beyond. These technologies working together will allow us to address the greatest challenge of our generations, climate change. If we can't find a way for these technologies to deal with climate change, then we will face a far worse future than we all hope for. But buried in these technologies may be the capability to reduce carbon emissions, to change the effects that are already happening to our world and to our climate. So, while these technologies offer those great hopes, they're also making the world more fragile and more dangerous. We are now dependent upon these technologies. We can't go back to an era where there was no IT. If the internet systems fail, or if they are attacked and eliminated, our entire society stops. Our civilization ceases. Our economies freeze. No one knows anymore where a typewriter is. No one knows anymore how to navigate with a sextant. We are now dependent. Like the Spanish conquistadors who came to the New World and burnt their ships on the shore so they couldn't go back. We have entered a cyber world where there's no going back. And if we cannot make it work safely and securely and equitably, There is no other world for us. There is no going back. We have a choice. We have a choice of a world in which there is cyber war, where we use IT to replace missiles and bombs, where we use IT to blow things up, where we use IT for international conflict. We can be in a world where governments use machine learning to create databases, to monitor the activities of their people, and to create police states worse than anything in the communist era. We're already seeing ways that people and governments have begun to do that. With Russia, we have seen the use of IT to take old techniques such as disinformatia, and kompromat, and maskirovka, and introduce them in cyberspace for political effect. We are seeing in China a government using artificial intelligence with facial recognition to track every citizen, to give every citizen a social score, a score that indicates how willing they are to obey. And they are rewarded based on their social score. That can be the future. If we do not create norms, international norms, that embed ethics, that embed the morality that we believe in, then the IT that we are creating will become a weapon against us. The IT that we are creating, in the absence of norms and ethics and morality, will become a dystopian world of caste societies, societies in which some people are genetically modified to be superior and others are genetically modified to be inferior. A dystopian world in which authoritarian governments know everything we do and reward us or punish us because of it. Or we can have a better world. A better world, not just better than that dystopian future, but a better world than we have ever had. A world of greater equality, economic opportunity, a world with greater quality of life for humans in every country, on every continent. A world where our freedoms, where civil liberties and human rights are protected. So my challenge to you these next 2 days at the World Congress, my challenge to you as experts in IT is to figure out which world you want. A world in which IT exists without morality, in which it is amoral, in which there are no international norms, in which we do not introduce into our technologies our beliefs, or a world in which we use IT to better humankind. Choose. In the panels today and tomorrow, experts will address these issues I have raised. I challenge you, as participants in this conference, to choose which path you want, and then figure out how we will get there. I think it's easy to choose. I want a future better than the past. What's difficult is to figure out how to get there. So in this conference, begin writing that agenda, the agenda to get to the better world empowered by IT. And then, having written that agenda, act. Start doing it. so that when Gibson's future is fully realized, when cyberspace is fully built out, when the future is completely here, it will be a future we wanted. Thank you very much.
Երևանում Wcit համաշխարհային վեհաժողովի աշխատանքները շարունակվեցին 3 օր։ Այս օրերի ընթացքում հնչեցին շուրջ 100 ելույթներ։ IT ոլորտի մասնագետների, բիզնեսի, բժշկության, արվեստի, կրթական, ժամանակակից տեխնոլոգիայի, ասպարեզի առաջադեմ անհատների կողմից։ Տեղի ունեցան մտքերի փոխանակումներ, խորհրդակցություններ, այսպիսով 3 օր Հայաստանը պահելով IT աշխարհի ուշադրության կենտրոնում։